grow instead of, going from one grow to the next. I was doing awesome, and I got the job. I was so proud of myself. But as I want to say about 6 months, my seizures started getting worse. It's hard to get up in the morning. It's a long recovery process after you have seizures. And as far as I knew, I had a very flexible schedule considering they knew my health condition. And that was great. I felt so lucky, so blessed to be able to work in a company like that. But as time went on, about 6 months into the job, my seizures started to progress, and I wasn't able to live up to the schedule that I needed to live up to. It became very difficult. I was discriminated against, and it's crazy because it kind of shocks you. When something like that happens, I've never really been discriminated against. I've always been very personable, very friendly, all of that. So, I was actually technically fired in front of everyone. And then the owners actually manipulated the situation just to get me out of there, because legally they can't fire somebody for having a disability. So yeah, that was really tough, to just lose everything. I mean, you lose so much when you become sick and you don't realize what you're in for. I'm not able to run those 5 miles anymore. I'm not able to lift weights like I was. My body, it's crazy. When you get sick, your body changes. You're a lot weaker. Your body can't take on what it used to be able to take on. So I don't know. Yeah, I just was stuck. I interviewed for other companies, other grows, and I was very passionate about it. But nobody wants to hire somebody with such an unpredictable schedule, because I don't know when I'm going to have a seizure. And I don't know how long that recovery process is going to be, depending on how bad the seizure is. So that sucked. That was all ripped away from me. So I actually had my first grand mal seizure sitting in my garage. I got very dizzy. As I went to pass out, I passed out and I woke up with my whole body, in convulsions. And then I came out of it, and then I got really dizzy again, passed out, and did the same thing again. And I honestly, after I came out of the seizure itself, I really thought I was gonna die. I never felt my heart beat so fast in my entire life. It was really scary. I was telling my husband, please tell the kids that I love them, let them know how much I love them. And this, the same for my family. Sorry, I still get emotional about that because it was very traumatic. Anyways, so I got through that, thankfully. I was very confused, very sick, very nauseous, very scared. So yeah, it was kind of traumatic, actually. It was very traumatic. And this was happening because this is another thing with epilepsy. You have such a hard time with the pharmacy refilling the medication because it's so expensive. It's like $2,000, somewhere in that, price range. And so I didn't have my medication for 4 days, which caused the grand mal seizure. Very frustrating, very scary. Anyways, so I got my meds. I haven't had any more grand mal seizures since, but I stopped having deja vu seizures about 3 months ago, and now I have what they call myoclonic jerks, which is another seizure disorder or type of seizure. Your body jerks, just randomly jerks. And they're kind of like the jerks that you get when you're falling asleep and you twitch when you're falling asleep. Well, it's like that, but you're awake and you have no control over it. It affects my eating, affects my balance walking. It's very uncomfortable. Sometimes I get shooting pains down my arms or my legs. I guess, what else can I say about it? I've thrown a cup before because my arm has twitched really bad before. I'm constantly dropping things because of how it affects the muscles. So I'll be holding on to something and just out of nowhere it drops out of my hand because of the way it affects your muscles. You have no control over it. I think that is the most scary thing about having epilepsy is you don't have control over your body. And it's scary losing that control, especially if you're like me and you always have control or want to take control. So that was hard, or it's hard to deal with. I guess the point of this video is, there's so much stigma around epilepsy, and, people just think of it as just falling down and convulsing, which is a huge part of it, but there's so many other types of seizures that you can have, and people can be having them right in front of you and you won't have any clue what's going on. The other thing too is people discriminate against you because of it. Chronic illnesses, a lot of people, and I know from personal experience because I was just like this before I became sick with epilepsy, but a lot of people, oh, well, they're just crying, they're just whining, they're complaining too much, they just want attention. It has nothing to do with that. Waking up sick every day and uncomfortable and in pain, you can only be strong for so long. Eventually, like this week, by the end of this week, I've been sick every day this week. Seizures constantly, just several clusters of them. So, like this week, and the reason for this video, or what inspired me to do it, is because of this week. I woke up this morning and felt the worst that I felt all week, just constant seizures all day today. And you get to the point where you're tired of waking up sick every day. It's really hard. And I still struggle with accepting this, but I get through it, and I have 2 kids that need me, and I will continue to fight every day to get through this and manage it. And honestly, it's made me a lot stronger of a person. It's made me a lot more humble because we don't know what other people struggle with every day in their lives, So it's really opened my eyes for people who think a person's complaining or they just want attention. It has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with trying to find that support and comfort that you need on your really bad days. So if people could just, instead of judging them or, making assumptions of them that are not true because they can't understand it because they're not in their shoes, everyone should just try to be more humble and supportive and, empathetic of other people. We should all try to be there for each other. It's really important to have somebody to be able to lean on when you need them. And I think in my experience with all of this, these last 2 years, I just can't believe how much I judged people. And it's not okay. We have to be more understanding of other people's situations than what we are. I think that if we can get to that place, then not so many people would be so hostile. We would probably feel more comfortable, less insecure. There's so many other things that it would help with emotionally. Oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank. This is what happens. Living with epilepsy, you constantly forget everything. I guess my point is instead of judging someone when they're looking for support